got somebody's on speakers.
Probably, no, nope, just me and KJ going through analyzing properties.
Oh, I just wondered, you said you sharing the screen. I was just.
Because I'm sharing that screen, so you can see what we're talking about. And then actually, there's a piece in this you're gonna want to use for your buyers. Matter of fact, you're gonna definitely want, uh, me to print this sheet. That'll help you with buyers.
Yeah, I got one got new minutes today. Well, this is a big investment. And you spend so much money to come here and do this. You drove 6 hours, I said. I need to run these 2 days.
Right.
So I can make sure you're taken care of.
That was a good response.
Right.
Right.
I need the testimonies.
Oh, sit in the back. Hope you can see. I'm Chris.
To accommodate you.
Is anybody in there?
Yeah, honestly, here, because everything's been always happening.
Yeah. You definitely earned it. That's right.
No, I send the, disclosure or something like whatever,
All right.
Oh, is that new? Oh. Always had, most mine was always. That works great. Yeah, that's good. It won't be as big a adjustment for me, or should it? Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
It's almost 6 o'clock.
Oh,
Good morning. Oh, wait, it's not good this morning. I think it is.
KJ, KJ.
Search for it, you find it. So, the person is able.
AJ? Where's your phone right now? Phone number?
285.
That part?
285.
I gotta look at it. I was. Always.
I think that's smarter. Especially if Ryan like that. Yes. And I had somebody that happened. They went and it was water.
Right, love to see those gold. Love to see those gold journals. You guys want the gold?
Yeah.
We're research ladies. Go gold. 6 years.
So I got it in 15. And and then your seminar, I think you were about, like,
Yeah. Yeah, yes, yeah. It's not an accident. All right. Here. Going back and not right
I
on
just
this
want
one.
to put this book, maybe this book is for.
For anybody, everybody.
I got somebody who's coming, I need one more.
Well, right on the back, well, you can make as many copies as you want.
I appreciate you.
So, it's not a investment, piece of paper. This is, we realized, look at that. That is, you guys all to, because you're gonna wanna use one yourself, and you're gonna wanna get one, or make a copy of it, because you might want to show this to other people. So I'm gonna show you, boys, like, why is real estate such a good investment? So we're gonna start with this, that shows you what happens and why we say that. And then, whenever you're ready, you're gonna get, will you put your information up here where they can read it? Because I know you got cards, but I prefer you,
Sure.
just,
Okay.
all right. Here we go. Everybody. Let's see what I've got here. All right. We are going to get started. Okay, so I'm Chris Papalardo. I'm here with KJ Hayes. She is an agent on our team. I am incredibly passionate. Deborah Roberts is our admin. She's the one who actually makes everything run. So, what we are very passionate about is helping people build and protect wealth. That's actually the job that we took as real estate agents to do that. I own 13 rentals. They're all long-term rentals. In July, at our seminar in July, we do these every other month. We're going to be talking about short-term rentals, Airbnbs. We've got someone in the class who has an Airbnb. We've had KJ has a gentleman who wrote a book about Airbnbs. So in July, we're going to be talking about short-term rentals. Right now, we're talking about long-term investments. Okay, does that make sense? Long-term is long-term rentals. Okay, so now one of the tools we use, okay, is going to be so. And of course, I'm the owner of the team, but in reality, the agents on our team are really the shining stars. KJ is very, very passionate about helping people. If you have any interest in either working with investments, you don't understand anything, KJ is going to be your go-to more than me. She has more patience, and no, just being very frank, right? But I'm also very passionate about making sure all of you guys do this. And if you're agents here, which we've got a bunch of agents here, they're your clients. We're happy to help you. Okay, but you've got to learn what a good investment is, and the only way you can do that is actually analyzing properties. One of the tools that you're like, well, what makes a good flip? Well, a good flip or a hold, a flip is going to be something where you can make at least $20,000 on. Right, it's kind of a general rule of thumb. Why do a flip if you can't make $20,000? A good hold investment is something that's gonna cash flow. It's gonna bring in cash every month, right? Or we call that an ROI, return on investment. Okay, and I'm going to give you kind of some rough guidelines because how do you know those things? Well, you've got to analyze properties to actually know what a good deal is, which means you've got to do the math. Here's what everybody does with us, the real estate agents. They go, I want to buy an investment property. And I go, fantastic. And then they wait for me to tell them what to buy. Ladies and gentlemen, did I mention I have 13 rentals? So if I see a really, really good deal, do you think I'm going to stop, analyze it, and then call you and hand it to you? I'm going to keep it. However, as your fiduciary, if you bring me a property and you say, here's the numbers I'm looking at, well, now I will ethically, bountifully, and dutifully do my best to help you get that property, okay? And help you achieve that goal, whether you're a licensed real estate agent or not. What we are asking you to politely do is do the heavy lifting yourself first so that you kind of understand what you're looking at. And the way you do that is by analyzing properties. You actually have to analyze them. The way I suggest you do that is you go into the MLS. You can go on Zillow, Realtor.com, I don't care. You just literally pick 5 properties and throw them on the spreadsheet I'm about to show you. And do it every week. So what my coach did for me, where my life changed was every Monday from 1 to 3 o'clock, it was Wealth Building Mondays. And I went and analyzed 5 properties a week. Now, at first, I'd maybe get through one property 2 or 3 weeks. Now I can do it in 5 or 10 minutes because it starts out slow. Now I can just look at it online and go, nope, yes, maybe, the photos. I've been doing it so much, okay? But at first, it's really, really slow and you don't know what you're doing. But if you practice and you set aside time, you will figure it out. Does that make sense? So one of the first things I'm going to suggest you do is if you don't have a mortgage calculator, this is a good one. Okay? This will actually walk you through down payment, everything. If you don't have a mortgage calculator, this is going to be a really, really good way to get an idea of the value of home ownership. It's going to walk you through a whole lot of things. It's a great calculator. Okay? Can't recommend it enough because you need a good calculator. And this is a good one. All right? And once you download it, you'll see lots of stuff. You'll see lots of things. It says, do you want to refinance? Right? Do you want to buy a house? But the one you want to look at is going to be the coolest one is if you push the middle button where it says calculator, right? You get all sorts of fun stuff. It's my favorite one. And there's one called the value of home ownership. All right. And that's the one we're going to look at first. Value of home ownership. Because, yep, let me know. And if you're going to see, I gave you guys all a sheet that looks like this. All right. If you didn't get a sheet, I'll give you one. Here, I'll go back to it. Yep. But what we realized was a lot of times investors don't actually understand 80% of wealth in this country gets built on real estate. 80%, right? That's a lot. Okay? So 80% of the wealth in this country came from real estate. Well, I'm going to show you why. Okay? Our lovely government, okay, they want us to invest our money in things that will help the rest of the world. Well, energy, technology, housing are the 3 big things that the federal government really wants us to do ourselves so they don't have to mess with it. Okay? So Download this app, and you click on the bottom where it says, so I can put it again and get it back to it. Whee! All right, so if I click on the value of home ownership, and it says, bottom right corner, it says, get started. We're gonna get started, okay? Does everybody got it? We good? I can move on? Okay. So first time I've done this, I've actually always just done it on paper. So I'm gonna fill this out, if it'll let me. It'll be up there. I want up there. There we go. All right, so here's what I want you to do. All right, I'm going to be analyzing a property, okay, that is $300,000. So I want you to say, get started. And wait a minute, already in the top of that, it says purchase price $300,000. Everybody with me? Now, if you want to do a different price property, all right. Now, the average appreciation rate, okay. You have to put this in. Now, on here, it's got it, is 4%. Now, in our area, the average appreciation rate is actually closer to 7 or 8%, okay? However, you are talking to a very conservative person. I don't like to lose money, and I don't like to risk money, okay? So I can go in to all the reasons why we're probably going to stay at 7 to 8%, but I'm going to put in 4. 4% means that the house is going to go up 4% on average every year, okay? The last time home prices didn't average 4% or above was one time in the history of our country that they've been tracking it. And that was between 2006 and 2013. Why was that? Great question. You guys understand supply and demand. If you have a lot of supply of something, right? If I've got a ton, let's pretend, right? We're going through COVID. If you've got a lot of toilet paper, aisles and aisles and aisles of toilet paper, which we didn't have, but if we do, right, and you got tons and tons and tons of it sitting there, what's going to happen to the price if they want to get rid of it? Got to go down, right? If you got a ton of supply, right, price got to go down. Now, all of a sudden, if we're all fighting over that last 4-pack, right, what happens to the price? It goes up. Okay, so real estate in the triad specifically, I'm not talking about the rest of the country, right, falls under that same guise. If we have low supply, demand is going to go up. Well, we have right now, even without all the mega sites being built, we have on average 10 people a day moving to our area. We do not have enough houses or apartments or rentals for those people, and we won't for the next 3 to 5 years. It's just not feasibly possible. It takes 2.5 years just to get a neighborhood off the ground, and we don't have water and sewer capacity. Like, I don't have the time to go through and prove to you that we're not going to have enough houses next 3 to 5 years, which means probably 7 to 8% appreciation per year is probably realistic. I'm conservative, so I'm going to leave it at 4%. Okay? Because I really want you to just feel comfortable knowing that, ta-da, this isn't going to magically change on you. Okay? You're going to see other parts of the country, and this is where you as new investors or people who are agents, where they're going to say the sky is falling, right? You're going to have it happen in Austin, Texas. You're going to have it happen in Connecticut. You're going to have it happen in Phoenix, Arizona, California. Prices are going down. Prices are going down. Prices are going to go down. Now, you're going to be a smart investor. You're going to go, I wonder why prices are going down there. Why might prices be going down there and not here? Why do you think? People are leaving. So there's going to be more houses than there are people buying. That's it. There's going to be more supply than demand in those areas. Because guess where they're moving? Here. Right? I'm not being funny, right? Seriously, here. Now, now your job as an investor is over the course of 5 to 10 years from now. We don't know what's going to happen, right? All of a sudden, there is a point, at some point, I can imagine, but it will happen when we will overbuild. when, not if, when we overbuild in this area, what's going to happen to prices? They're going to go down. What's going to happen to rent? They'll go down, right? Now, ideally, you've gone up so much at that point in time that you can withstand a 2 or 3 or 4 year maybe depreciation or holding steady of values at that point in time. Okay? Does this make sense? But I can tell you, the reason why I like real estate and not the stock market is it's not volatile. You're going to see it coming. If you have a really good real estate agent, or if you're a really good real estate agent, you got to watch supply. Right now, we have a 1 month supply of inventory in our area. A balanced market is a 6 month supply. We are well below that, with more people moving here than we can build, right? So I don't think appreciation is going to be an issue. Fair? Any questions about that? Okay. So the average appreciation rate, I'm putting it 4%, even though I believe it is much more than that. Okay. Now, we're going to be getting a mortgage. Now, on this calculator, I've got it at 20% down. If you are an investor, how much do you think you're putting down? I know what Tina's going to tell you have to put down 20%, right? 20% if you're investing. Now, here's our first suggestion is if you don't own a home, buy a home, move into it for 2 years so it becomes your primary mortgage, then you can put down as little as 5%. Is there any chance they can do less than 5%, Tina?
Do an FHA.
They can do an FHA, and they can do 3.5% down. That might be possible. And you get a primary mortgage rate because you're moving into it, which is lower than an investment property. But for right now, I'm going to treat you like an investor. Tina's going to treat you like an investor, okay? And I want you to put in that you're putting in 20%, right? Which in this case is $60,000, right? So the mortgage amount would be $240,000. All right. Now, Tina, how much higher is the average interest rate on an investment property right now? Roughly
It's about a point higher, so say 7.8.
7.8. Gotta love it. So I'm going to put in an interest rate of 7.8 on my calculator, and I'm still doing 30 years. I got 4% appreciation. Okay. 7, 8. Term is going to be 30 years. 30 years. Okay. Now here's the other thing. You got to figure out your tax bracket. This you have to do on your own. I'm going to do this right now as a, for giggles, I'm going to do that I am, just because it's the first one, I'm going to do single tax filing, and I'm going to do, so you can change the little buttons, annual income. I'm going to make it between, there's a toggle button, between 85 and 163 for my income. All right. Why is that important? Because that means my tax bracket, I'm paying 24% taxes. Okay. So you can fill this out when you button. Now, this calculator does all this for you. You click on view results. So number one, on a $300,000 home, 4% appreciation year one, right, is going to be $12,000. Just appreciation alone on the home means the home went from this year to next year. Magically, you went to sleep. You woke up a year later and your house is worth $12,000 more money. That's called forced savings, right? It's forced savings. Now, you've also paid down some of the debt, right? Because some of your money is going towards principal. So if you hit the next button, it says, well, you paid down the principal of $240,000. All right, you paid it down by $2,086 in a year. Now, if you're renting, how much of your rent do you have left at the end of the year? Zero. The answer is zero, right? This is saying for each one of these mortgage payments, I'm getting some credit for it. In fact, the government's giving me, or the mortgage company's giving me $2,086 of my money that I was paying into them every month. I'm getting deducted from what I owe. Now, the other thing is this is the worst case scenario because the first year is when you pay the most interest. Every year after that, more and more of your money is going toward paying principal down. This is just year one of a forced savings account, okay? All right, now if you're in a tax bracket of 24%, The government also lets you write off if you're able to do deductions instead of the full deduction. You get to write off, if you hit the next button, $4,475 off your tax bill, right off the top. Boom. You made that much less money as far as the government's concerned. You get to write that off on your taxes. How much of your rent do you get to write off your taxes? None. Zero. Ladies and gentlemen, the average homeowner has a net worth of over $200,000. The average renter has a net worth of $5,000. This is why, by simply paying a monthly payment to a bank versus a landlord, you get what's called a forced savings account. If I add up all these totals together at the end of year one, I get a total forced savings of $18,561. Just like that. And that's year one. Now, don't forget, at the end of year two, I get 4% appreciation on the $12,000. I'm going to have more principal pay down, right, on that $240,000 mortgage. So now the cost of that, the value of the house is going up every year, right? I'm paying down the debt every year and getting deductions. So I have three potential areas of growth of my money, whereas in the stock market, I got one. And that's hoping the company does well, or hoping the market does well, okay? And I'm not opposed to putting some money in the stock market, but you have really one potential benefit with that, whereas this, you have three. Now, also, I'm curious, do you think rents are going up every year in this area? Like the supply and demand, okay? Now, this is what it looks like, whether you're the primary resident, I mean, you're the homeowner, but here's the real magic. This is why we like investment property so much. Now imagine if all this is happening and your tenant is making these payments. You still get the tax deductions. If there's anything left over, you get the appreciation. You're getting the principal paid out. And you get a fourth magical thing called cash flow, which I'm going to show you next on how to analyze a property. But I thought before we did that, let's make sure we're all really, really clear on why 80% of the wealth in this country comes from real estate. Is because it's the only thing that I know of right now that gives you appreciation, debt pay down, reduction on your taxes, and the potential of cash in your pocket every month, which is a fourth option. Any questions about this before we move on? Is this helpful to understand? Does it make it tangible while we tell people stop renting, get into something? Because I keep meeting people that are like, but it doesn't have granite countertops, doesn't have this, doesn't have that. I'm like, get into something. If I had to do it over again, I would have gone back and told my 22 or 23-year-old self, get into a cracker box. Just get into something. Just get into something. Live in it for 2 or 3 years, right? So now the very, very first rental that my wife and I made was our first house, okay? $120,000 house in Linwood Lakes, right? You know, little 1,400 square brick ranch, right? And our payment was $780 a month. Well, let's be real. We were all taught when we were kids, buy a house, live in it, right? Then as soon as it's worth enough, what do? What are you supposed to do? You sell it. So then what you do? You take that money to do what? Go buy a bigger house. So you're constantly in debt and you're selling an appreciating asset. Cars don't appreciate, sneakers don't appreciate, watches don't appreciate, but houses do. So all you have to do is be smarter than that and live in it for 2 years, live on less than you make, save enough for the down payment on the next house. And guess what happens? You get to go to Tina and you get to go, Tina, I have this renter that's going to pay me $1,200 a month on my current house. And my mortgage is only $780. Now, how much of this rent do I get to apply against that mortgage? You're going to say, 75%. 75%. I cannot go with math. Let me go do 75% of 1,200. Somebody might get to it quicker than I will. If you do, let me know. So I get to take $1,200 times 0.75. That's $900. Tina, if I owe 780 and you're allowing me to count $900 of that money towards my, against my liabilities, do I need to show that $120 as income?
Yes.
So now, it comes, you guys hear that? So if the rent, as long as 75% of that rent covers the mortgage payment, that liability comes off your debt to income ratio. On top of that, anything above that, she just becomes income, which qualifies you for a higher mortgage. She gets another $120 a month potentially towards a new property. You guys get that? Any questions about that? I want to make sure you guys get that. This is the power of investment property that you will just hang on to the first one and save your money and have enough down payment to buy the second one. It is game on. Because year one, the rent's $1,200. What might the rent be year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5? Might be $1,300, $1,400, $1,500. Tina gets to count all that extra money as income. But if my mortgage stuck at $780 a month, 30-year fixed loan. Now let's say we're in this current market, and you're like, Chris, interest rate is 7.8. Man, now I'm going to show you a spreadsheet in a second on analyzing investment property. I don't care what interest rate is as long as the rent covers it. Let me say that again. I don't care what the interest rate is as long as the rent covers it. Because guess what else I'm doing? I will routine. I'm going to marry the house on a date rate. Because if the rate goes down anytime in the next 30 years, I'm going to call Tina. Could you refinance this for me, please, at a lower rate? And can you just make sure I'm paying closing costs and do that and I go lower rate?
Yeah.
So I can do a refinance with no money down. No money out of my pocket. Really?
Yeah.
With that?
Yeah.
You sure? Yeah. I don't know. That's too good to be true. But it's not, is it? No. Right? You're like, I don't have any money. You know, as long as you have equity. If the rate goes down a point or two, oh wait, but Tina, I don't want to start over in 30 years. Like starting in this place like 7 years. I actually like do a 22-year loan. So I can have a lead where I'm up.
Right.
I know. You sure?
Yeah.
I don't know about 30 years. So I'm going to have to take off. So now that objection's out of the way. Because you can actually start wherever you left off on a new mortgage. But with an interest rate being a point or two lower, do you think your payments going to go down? Yes. But has the tenant's rent gone down? No. Are you guys seeing how this spirals very, very quickly? Now, anybody here have kids? How would you like to pay for their college? The college company went and bought a rental property. And over 15 years, you took all the extra cash flow from the property, paid it down, and in 15 years, you have the property sitting there free and clear. When your child goes away to school, they go away to school, instead of putting in the dorm, what if you bought a house? And then you get 3 friends as roommates. And part of their responsibility is to manage the house, taking all the rent, and then 4 years later sell the house. Is that better than paying dorms? Do the math. Now, maybe you're a real estate engineer. Are you talking to your clients about that opportunity? Please do. So if I picture this is like, wait a minute, is this starting to make a little sense? Why 80% of the wealth in this country comes from real estate? So now, well, how would you know a good deal you found? So that's what I'm going to show you next. I want to make sure we got the foundation set on why it's so important and why you generally don't want to sell appreciating assets if you can help it. The exception to that rule is if you're selling an appreciating appreciating asset or a better appreciating asset, go for it. Okay, go for it. You want to sell the single family house and buy a fourplex that's going to print money? Do it, right? Do it. But if you sell this appreciating asset so you can live in a nice house, challenge with that is it's an asset. Your primary home is an asset for the bank, not you. Why? You say that. Great question. An asset by definition gives you money. So when you're writing your mortgage payment to the bank every month, who's receiving money? The bank, right? You can't tap that equity, right, unless you sell it. And last time I checked, none of us want to be homeless, right? So it's an asset for the bank. Your current house is an asset for the bank until you sell it. But you need to have money to get it somewhere. So we don't look at it counts towards your net worth. We don't look at that as usable cash flow or money because you got to do something. Okay? So it's an asset for the bank. An asset, by our definition, is something that I am not managing, dealing with, and I get a check in the mail every month. Or in our new society, I get a wire transfer to my bank every month. Okay? Now I told you I'm conservative and I want to do 4% appreciation on properties. Let me also show you how conservative I am when I analyze investment property. Because I don't buy a single property unless the tenant's rent covers all the expenses and covers vacancy and covers maintenance. And the management company management. I don't phone calls at midnight or 1 a.m. about overflowing or whatever. I don't want those calls. I don't want to manage it or deal with it. And I want to make it for management because I'm nice. You can tell me you want your job and this and that. I'm going to say yes, you can stay. So I can't be that person. I will not say no. I won't. So I got to think. I'm going to go, no, it's business. Maybe by the fifth or following, like, get you out. I don't trust me. I will tell them no problem. And I can also tell you when that happens, everyone's a little bit or negative or whatever. So I can't tell you. So I don't buy anything without allowing for a management company to manage it. They allow for 8% vacancy rate. Why 8%? Another great question. 8% allow me 30 days of vacancy. Why 30 days vacancy? Another great question. I don't know anybody on the planet that has ever moved out of the house and the next day I can be renting somebody else. So I know I need at least 2 weeks to do what's called return. That I can take other people out, go in, clean it, carpets or whatever. And then they got to find a tenant that can move in. So best case scenario is 2 weeks, but most likely it's a month. When I get the old tenant out and when the new tenant comes in. I don't want to write that mortgage payment, so I use the tenant money, 8% vacancy rate, to allow for that to have that number of savings account to something go back. I also allow 10% for maintenance repairs, so for the rent, you can see this, the rent is $15, yes, $150 a month is going into a core savings account for the dishwasher, for emissions for the roof, for the HVAC, right? Because again, I don't want to write those checks out of my own personal money, right? 3 or 4 or 5 years from now. That makes sense? Okay. Okay. All right. How are we doing? Now, any questions so far about the value of home ownership or anything? Because if you don't ask questions, I'm going to assume you got it. You're like, Chris, we are in. We understand exactly what you're talking about. We're good to go. All right. Yes. Major companies. I personally will not buy a property unless I can allow for a management company to manage it, because I don't want calls in the middle of the night for a broken toilet or whatever's not working. I don't want that call. And more importantly, I'm nice. If they call me and tell me they can't pay me the rent because of whatever, dog ate their homework, somebody got sick, somebody lost their job, I'm gonna be like, sure, I understand completely, no problem, right? Pay me in 2 weeks or whatever, right? So I can't be trusted because I will. But a major company, their job is to go, no, we all have lives, we all have problems, we all have challenges, because Chris still has to make his mortgage payment every month, no matter what. I can't say like to the mortgage company, like, sorry, I lost my job or whatever. So pay me by the 5th, or, I'm gonna have to evict you. And that's what I use them for. And by the way, I've had quite a lot of that. And when they set the eviction papers and they pay the penalty, that actually counts as income. When they actually pay the late payment penalty, you get that money, right? It's like that whenever they're late, you get paid more. It's crazy. And I don't get that. And I also want to pick the tenants. I don't want to do background checks. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I don't. Okay, I want to buy a house. I want to have somebody else rent it out. Somebody else deal with it when it has problems. So I do my math based around that. Does that help? Yes, Frank. Ooh. Okay. A lender will not allow you, because they know you're going to have vacancy. They know you're going to have capital expenditures. They know you have major company. So, well, you tell them, why do you only allow 75% of the rental income to count towards the debt?
What you just said, because there's gonna be things that come up, possible, or like, getting it ready for the next tenant today.
Whatever the rental amount is. So if I've got it rented for $1,200 a month, they will allow you to count 75% of that rent, whatever it is, as income. So they'll allow me $900 a month to count $900 of the $1,200 as income. If my mortgage payment is lower than $900, if it's $780, like mine is, then they're going to count the difference between what I'm bringing in, the $900, and what I owe mortgage-wise as income, helping me qualify to purchase another property. That makes sense. Thank you for asking. I mean, seriously, I talk fast, I go fast, I do the math in my head. Please ask me questions. Right? This is for you guys to get, okay? But that's the power. And then your mortgage payment, Frank. So at first, a rental property, it probably won't cover everything, right? When you do that. But over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, generally rents keep going up, but your mortgage payment stays the same. So eventually, usually after year 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there, the rent's so high and your mortgage payment is here where 75% of it will cover, right? And in our area, depending on what you buy and how much cash you put down, 2 years might be enough. If you're working with a good real estate agent like you guys are, you're going to help your clients understand that and analyze that and buy a place where that's possible, right? That's the goal. That's the goal, right? Or get close, right? I mean, if she allows me $750 a month and my mortgage is $780, that $30 a month isn't going to be a make or break, right? But I'm just trying to get you to understand that you're like, but I can't afford 2 mortgage payments. That's what everybody says. I can't afford 2 mortgage payments. Well, I don't want you to afford 2 mortgage payments. You don't have to afford 2 mortgage payments. A bunch of that rent gets deducted off your debt to income ratio. You don't have to qualify for 2 houses, right? You got to get that rented. You got to give her a lease, right? And you can do that. That makes sense? Everybody thinks like, I can't make 2 mortgage payments. I don't want you making 2 mortgage payments. And by the way, also, when you buy a house, let's say you buy it in June, your first mortgage payment is due when? August. So you buy a house in June. You move out of it in June. You rent out your place starting July 1. You're getting tenants' money July 1. You're getting tenants' money July 1. Now, when's your first mortgage payment due on your new house? August. So now I have their money for July, and I don't make my new mortgage, so you have wiggle room, right? Because the tenants' payments start the day they move in. You got somewhere between 45 to 60 days before your first mortgage payment's due. So you've got wiggle room to actually get it in, okay? So you're not making 2 payments. Am I saying anything?
You're absolutely right.
Okay. And I get excited about stuff. Like, we've all been told these things and we all see things. I'm like, man, no. Ben Franklin and our forefathers had it right. You want to use other people's monies. And real estate's the easiest and best way to do it. If I could go back to my 22-year-old self, I'd have been like, move every 2 years. It sucks. But if I moved every 2 years, I'd have 5 houses by the time I was 32. I am done. Done. I'd have a net worth of over 3 million right now. Just from the value of the properties going up and they'd be paid off. I mean, that'd be incredible, right? So I can't do it then, but I'm doing it now, right? I'm doing it now. Okay. So we are going to be looking at a property on Piper's Way that's under contract, because I have clients that were interested and they've been paying attention. They were like, what would this bring in? So I'm going to show you this property. So this is in the MLS, and we're going to analyze this one on my sheet. So here it is, right? Built in 1988, went under contract. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, okay? Now, all I really care about is what are the taxes in this place, okay? What am I going to owe on it, okay? And we've got that information. I can get it dragged down. There we go, right? We've got an HO fee of $30 a month. Tax amount's $1810, okay? All right, so let me get back in here. So you guys are seeing that sheet up here, so I can show the rest of the world what I'm doing. So I've gone into the MLS. I found a property, this property here, okay? Piper's Way. Now I emailed a management company and I said, hey, management company, I just on services for this. I sent them just this. I said, how much would this rent for per month? Right? Did they reply to you or just reply to me? Okay, what they said the rent was going to be? 1150 to 1250. That's right. Right? 2-bedroom, right? 1150 to 1250. So I went to a management company. I didn't guess, and I said, how much would this rent for? Right? So now, so we know it's going to be 1150 to 1250 is the rent. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to show you where I go to download a free. I'm a big fan of free. If you haven't figured that out, know me yet, I am a big fan of free. Okay. Huge fan. Where? Oh, there it is. Is that it? Here we go. Okay. So move this one over. So I'm going to show you 3 tabs of where I go to look at properties. The first one is Keller Inc., kellerinc.com, kellerinc.com. And I go to the resources tab, and I go to what's called the Hold book. There's a book called Hold. And on it, it has a Hold property analysis worksheet. You can download it. kellerinc.com. You go to the Hold analysis worksheet. It's, again, free. Big fan of free. So I go to kellerinc.com. kellerinc.com. I go to the resources tab. I click on Hold, and I download the Hold property analysis sheet. There it is. I've downloaded it a bunch of times. It's a free sheet. Now, I have another place I go that I love, and I actually like it better, but it's not free. I'm going to show it to you. I love Bigger Pockets. Go to biggerpockets.com. I think you can analyze 2 properties a month on there. By the way, they're smart. If you think you're going to go open up a spreadsheet and then fill out everything on it and then just erase the figures on that same sheet and refill it out, they're onto us. Can't do it. You can't do it. I've tried it. It doesn't work, right? They know you're doing that. So you can only look at 2. I love this sheet. The challenge is, and I love this report better, but it's $150 a year. Until you buy your first investment property, use the free Hold sheet. It's almost as good. But just so you understand that I practice what I preach, this is my old account. I've started a new account. Look at the bottom of this sheet. You see it says 15 pages? That's 15 pages of analyzing properties, right? And I don't even know how many properties are on each page. I don't know. That's the page. I've got bunches and bunches of them. And that's this one account. I switched to a business account off of this account. My point is, if you analyze 5 properties a week, you get really, really good at this. Okay? Any property, throw it in the spreadsheet. So right now, I'm going to go open up investment whole worksheet. It's spent. It's still spinning. There it is. Oh, got sneaky. It should have over here. I'm gonna spread it over here. I can do it. I believe in you. All right. So here is my spreadsheet. Okay. And I do this with every property, and I'm going to walk you through it. Now we're also going to have all this stored on YouTube and on our CPT Wealth page on Facebook. I've got me doing this analysis 4 or 5 times. Okay. So, CPT Wealth. Now on that, for real estate agents, you are not allowed to solicit business at all. It's not a place to put up your open house or anything. It is for all of us to get together, talk about investment properties, analyze these things. I've got the Airbnb person that did their thing, right? You're welcome to be on there. Just zero solicitation from my team, everybody's team. It is not about selling anything. It's about helping you guys build and protect wealth. It's got the Win, Make, Give podcast on there, understanding and analyzing different types of investments. It's got Bigger Pockets podcast on there. Just it's got a bunch of resources on how to get to this stuff. Okay. And we've got a QR code for it at the end that I'll share with you. I got enable editing. All right. And I can pick the property analyze. So I'm going to say, okay, the list price in this property was $230,000. Now, right now it went under contract. So fair market value, the reason to ask fair market value is there's a chance that, let's say they're asking 200,000 for a property, but fixed up, it's worth 230, 250, 270, 290, 300, right? So what you want to know is the list price says, okay, this is what they're asking for. Fair market value is another term you're going to hear us say is ARV, after rehab value. So fair market value means after rehab value, meaning once it's fixed up like a shiny brand new house, okay, this is what it's worth. That makes sense? The reason it's in black is because that's how you discover, that's how you create gaps or you create net worth. Has anybody ever heard that term sweat equity? You go in, you buy a house, right? It looks like, it was from 1950s inside, but it's livable, but you decide that you're going to repaint it, you're going to put in new carpet, you're going to do all the stuff yourself, or somebody do it for you, and all of a sudden that house you bought went up in value, right? Because you painted it, right? You took down wallpaper, right? You put in new appliances, maybe fix the roof, things of that nature. So what we care about is fair market value. We care about ARV once it's fixed up, right? So we're going to have the list price, and then we're going to have, okay, so what's it worth after it's fixed up? In this case, I'm going to say the place is worth 250. Okay. And then it's asking me, well, what kind of discount do I want to get on that? Right? What am I willing to offer for it? Do I need 10% off? Do I need 20% off? Do I need 30% off? Do I need 40% off? The trick question. You don't know yet. Because you got to do all the other math to figure out what you need to get it for. Okay. But you got to start with something. You got to start with some sort of discount. Now, I already know I'm going to have closing costs on the loans. I'm not paying cash. And I know I'm going to have some sort of fix-up cost. And these are going to be the things that trip you up usually, because you don't know how much stuff costs to fix up and repair. You're going to have to get a good handy person or a good contractor to come and look at properties with you to get ballparks on what things are cost to fix up. Part of analyzing property is it's going to create confusion because you're like, I don't know that number. Go find out. And once you analyze enough properties, you start getting a ballpark on what things are going to cost. At first, it's super slow. Now I know, for example, a little tiny half bath, right, in a brick ranch, that's all of maybe 6 by 6. I know that I can put in a new tub, a new vanity, a new toilet, new flooring, a new light. It's going to cost me between $9,000 to $11,000 bucks. I know that now, right? I know that. So I know, oh, half bath, $9,000 to $11,000, right? On a bigger bathroom that has double vanities and a sink and a shower, I know that's going to be $30,000. On a small brick ranch, it's a walk-in, just tub, shower, sink, toilet, only good for one person. That's going to be maybe $14,000. See, I know that stuff now. You don't know that stuff yet. And the only way you're going to figure that out is you got to take people out and go, how much is this going to cost? Roughly. And you get ballparks because you have to ballpark things, right? I know I can put flooring in a house at $3 a square foot, right? Not the best flooring, but I'm looking at 1,500 square feet times 3. There's my flooring cost. I can paint all the walls for $4 a square foot. That's my people. See, you got to figure that out for yourselves. I don't know who you're using. Don't take my numbers. You got to figure that out, but you're only going to figure that out by going and analyzing properties and taking somebody there and say, how much would it cost to paint this whole house? That does not include ceilings or closets or trim. Definitely details. Okay? But analyzing properties forces you to get there. So, right, I'm going to put this discount, right, at 20%, right? I mean, I can only pay $200,000 for that house. Currently, we'll see what happens. I don't care what number you put in, just put in a number. Start seeing what they do. So Tina's already told me I got to put 20% down. So I got to come out of pocket $40,000 on this property. Now, understand, if you're buying your primary mortgage, or primary property, I would still put it in this with 5% down or whatever, because don't you want to make this a rental later? And this is when everybody looks at me and goes, yes, Chris, I've been paying attention, and I want to make the house I'm buying a rental later. So I would still want to know, and my major company, I say, how much would this rent for? Even if I buy it as my primary residence, what would it rent for? I want to know, okay? I have a house before I moved into the one I'm currently in. It's 5721 Bayleaf Lane. Okay, I'll tell you right now, I bought in 2017, 3.25% interest rate. My mortgage is $1,400 a month. It's a 2,700 square foot vinyl box. Nothing special, right? It is now currently rented at $2,800 a month. I wanted to move to a new house. So guess what I did? I looked at how much I was paying in rent, paying my mortgage, how much I could bring in rent. I went, what's 75% of that? So I moved to a new house where I'm cost zeroing my cost, because the rent, right, what I'm getting paid in rent, 75% of that, I use that as my new mortgage payment added to $1,400, and now I'm paying, was it $23 or $24 a month? I moved to a new house, and my expenses didn't go up. Does that make sense? Now, I did have my out-of-pocket to put down, but that was it. But my actual lifestyle cost didn't go up. Do you see the power in that? Right? Because in 2017, whether in 2023, when we moved, rents went up that much. And I was shocked to find out how much I could rent it for, and it was rented. And we did exactly what I'm talking about. We moved out in August. The tenant moved in September. I made my first new mortgage payment on my new house in October. So again, I am actually practicing what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, so I got amounts financed. Now, I wish that Tina could give you 4% interest rate, but she can't. So I'm going to put in 7.8 as the interest rate. Okay. All right. It's got 2% as closing cost. I'm going to make it a little bit higher. Right. I'm going to make it 3%. Okay. Why? Because I want to make things conservative. Now, cost of repairs. Cost of repairs. This is where you guys are going to get really, you're going to struggle, because you're like, how much is it going to cost to fix this place up? I don't know yet. There's two ways to figure it out. Number one, you take a contractor in there with you, right? Or a handy person in there with you. Or you actually take a management company, and they're going to tell you, here's what you got to do to make this a bulletproof property. Right here, because fixing up to be a rental versus your primary residence is not the same thing. Let me give you one example. In your home, you're probably going to want like either a gas cooktop or glass cooktop, right? When a rental, you don't want that. You want one with the little, we call the little electric burners on top. You can plug in and plug out, because let's just say hypothetically, Your tenant drops a frying pan or something on your glass cooktop and shatters it. You still have to replace that. Not that I've ever had that happen. So, and my landlord told me, put in the ones with the little electric eyes that you can plug in out. Because if they slam that down, you pull that part out, you put the new one in, stove is still rocking, right? It's a cheaper stove, but it's a bulletproof stove. Does that make sense? So there are things you might do or don't. So take your management company and say what I do. And then you got to go price all this stuff. And you're going to miss out on properties while you're learning how to do this. The peace of mind is priceless, but you got to start. So I'm going to say, I'm going to make up a number. I look at this property. I went, woo, it needs new carpet. It needs new paint. I have to pull the garbage disposal out. Another tip on a rental property, pull the garbage disposal out. Everybody thinks of their garbage disposal as, I don't know, trash. So just pull them out. It'll get stuck, it'll get clogged. You're getting charged for a plumber. Just pull the garbage disposal out of every property you ever rent ever, and it will save you thousands. Okay. Cost make regular repairs. So how much do I have to put into it? Well, I'm going to make up a number on this property. I've already looked at it online. Just trust me. I'm going to say, man, it's going to cost me $15,000 to get it into rent-ready shape. Okay. So now I'm going to be out of pocket $61,000. There are many of you here who are like, I don't have $61,000. We're going to do a different class on seller financing and subject twos and ways to actually potentially borrow some of that money, use either equity in a current property or just live in it as your first property for 2 years and then use the equity from a HELOC to be able to go do this, right? If I only put down 5%, okay, it's a whole lot less money down, okay? I've also used credit cards. I've used lots of things. Now, leave the mortgage 30 years, payments per year is 12. So here's my mortgage payment, okay? Now it's asking for my rental income. I'm going to put in $1,200 a month. So I'm going to annually be bringing in $14,400. Now this lets you do up to 4 units in. Vacancy rate, hang on, right? I am changing it to 8%. So now right off the bat, I'm taking $96 a month off the tenant's rent, and it's just disappearing off this sheet. You will never see it again. You won't see it on any prospectus, nothing. It's like it doesn't exist. You have to understand that you have now taken, I'm going to round up and say $100 a month off. So at the end of 1 year, I've got $1,200 roughly of the tenant's money, okay, saved. Now, what was my mortgage payment? Look at that. I've got it almost covered. Now, I'm not going to completely have it covered because I'm going to have taxes, okay? The insurance I'm going to add on in a minute, but I'm close, okay? I'm close. So in this case, because the rent's so low, what I'm going to do, I want to make this 9%, right? Because did I mention I want whatever money I'm bringing in to be covered by the tenant, not me, right? And I know this is not going to cash flow worth a darn, but I just want you to understand how all this stuff works. Now, leasing cost, right? Are you gonna have leasing costs? Is your management company going to charge you half a month's rent just to set up the lease? Maintenance reserves, right? Depending on, does it have a new roof? Does it have a new HVAC? Right? Does it have new windows? Like how much maintenance reserves do you want to hold back? Right? I prefer, did I mention I'm conservative? I do 10% maintenance reserves. I do. Now remember, I've got $220 a month of the tenant's money being held back in a savings account every month. Okay? Utilities, right? Got $5 a month. Now, you only have to keep utilities on for 1 month. That's got to be in your name because the utilities got to be in your name when it's not rented. Okay? So I'll say, okay, water, because whoever's fixing the place up has to have water, have to have electricity, and they'll probably have to have gas. So I usually do at least $100, and I just do 10 a month. Right? So I gotta, ooh, that's a lot. I got 120 bucks set aside a year for me to have the utilities in my name. Another tip, anytime you own a rental property, you want to set up what's called a landlord account. a landlord account. You want to call the electric company, the gas company. You want to call the city and say, thank you, I need a landlord account. Why? Great question. Because what you don't want to pay is connection and reconnection fees if your tenant moves out, because that costs money. Also, you don't want the heat to go out in the middle of winter when the water might be still on. But here's the biggest reason, the best reason of all. When you open it and make it a landlord account, the minute your tenant calls to terminate service, you get notified. Which means they haven't even told the management company yet they're leaving. They may not tell the management company they're leaving. They may leave in the middle of the night. But guess what they won't do? They won't keep paying an electric bill or a water bill in their name. So they're going to call and get those turned off. So the minute they say, hey, I need the utilities turned off on such and such a date, you get notified the minute they turn that in. And now you get to call your management company and say, hey, they're moving on July 8th, or they're moving on January 10th, or whatever date it is. And they're going to go, they haven't sent us notice. And you're like, no, they haven't. But guess what? They told Duke Power. So but go over there now and see what's going on, see what kind of condition it is, right? Because they're going to lose their security deposit. Yay, by the way, you get that. Yay, right? That's more savings in here that we're not even talking about. Okay. But yeah, so get a landlord account. Okay. This hour right here is worth it just for that, which can save you in a month's rent, or somebody disappearing, you're like, oh, I didn't get my rental payment. Gee, I have to reconnect the power. That costs money. All those things that are normal. Okay. Property taxes. Well, we know the property taxes on this place were $18.10. So 1810 divided by 12 is 150.83. Let me in. I did this one. Forgot they fixed this so that it'll become monthly. They were smart. Here we go. All right, insurance. What's insurance going to be on this place? You have to call. We use Matthew Young at Geico. You can use whoever you want. You got to call your insurance company. Go, hey, how much would you charge me to have this place rented? On the rental, you want to add a policy. It's called tenant occupancy coverage. Tenant occupancy, and every insurance company calls it a little bit different. Why is that important? Well, let me just tell you. For example, we bought a house. We flipped every square inch of it, like everything. Like everything. I mean, everything. Well, almost everything. Because what we didn't do, we didn't think to do, we didn't run hoses down the tube where the washer and dryer goes. I think I need to do that. I learned, yes, I do. Tenant moved in, day 3, on the completely flipped, new kitchen, new windows, new flooring, new paint, new siding, new roof, new HVAC, new electrical box. I mean, when I tell you we did everything, we did everything. They went to wash some clothes, and guess what happened? The washer backed up, and it's a little 800 square foot house, and washer backed up and left 3 inches of water on their entire floor. They can't live in a property with 3 inches of water on the floor, so they had to go get a hotel. Guess who's responsible for giving them a reliable place to sleep every night? We are. So guess who had to pay that hotel bill? I did, but I had insurance for it. It's a few dollars a year, but you want to make sure you have vacant occupancy. So if you ever have to move a tenant out of your place because of something that happened to the property that was not their fault. Now, they burned it down, but my responsibility, right? I also make sure that every tenant has renter's insurance because they have some coverage from their renter's insurance. But if it's our fault, and that was ours, not theirs, even though, whatever. Probably a fun story. It gets better. The reason it was clogged up, there was a snake in the pipe. Right? Yeah, wasn't that fun? Like, oh, why would that be clogged up, right? Oh, because there's a snake living in it. Yep. It's like tenant occupancy, something like that. And every insurance company called just like, hey, I need insurance, so in case I have to pay for a tenant to live somewhere else for a few days or a week, I'm covered, right? So insurance on this place would be right around $800 a month, right? Now notice it had an HOA. HOA was $30 a month. Okay. Now notice I'm just filling out these things. Now, a lot of these things, you're like, I don't know what they are. So you got to go look them up. So it's going to be slow. It's going to be slow at first, right? Now, the reason these things down here are not automatically added, okay, to your mortgage, okay, is because your mortgage is going to be stagnant. That's not changing. That's a 30-year fixed rate. But could your taxes change? Yep. Right? Could your homeowner's insurance change? Yep. So that's why they're down here and they're separate. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. All right. I'm gonna try and make this smaller if I can. Let's see if I can get it to shrink. There we go. Beautiful. Closer. All right. I don't want it to be too small where you can't see it. So what happens is, so here we've got this property. Now, right now, okay, the rent, I'm only allowing for not all the rent to be covered, but I'm out $61,000 in cash. The monthly mortgage payment interest is $1,151, and I'm bringing in $1,200, but I'm bringing in 1092, and after I take out management fees, right? After I take out, I gotta make that 10%, not 8. Here, this place is not cash flow at all, right? That is not cash flow at all. In fact, it's going to have a negative ROI, okay, of $557 a month right now. Negative cash flow of $557 a month. That seems awful, doesn't it? It seems horrible. But now, if you're living here and making that, no problem. And I'm gonna do a few things to tweak this, okay, to show you. But I want to make sure you understand how the sheet works. But somehow it's still getting what's called cap rate. It's still getting a 3% cap rate. I mean, it's still bringing in money. Now, it's assuming several things. It's assuming expenses growth, income growth of 3%, meaning rent increase every year of 3%, and it's assuming a 4% annual property increase in value. Okay? And it's assuming an 80% increase in expenses. Okay? So this is showing you year 1, year 5, year 10, right? What it's doing year 15. But it's also showing you the property value. Property value year 1, 260. By property value year 5, 304. Year 10, 370. Year 15, 450. Now, let me ask you a question. If after 20 years, I told you, look, you give me $21,000, okay? $21,000, but I'm going to turn it, okay? I'm going to turn it into $250,000 of profit. Would you do that with me? Would you give me 21,000 to make 250? That's just when everybody should be like, yes, like, because that's a good deal, right? But also, the loan balance went down to 121,000. So the total profit sold after 15 years is $231,000. And this has a negative cash flow. Do you see what's happening? So go back to you own a property right now, and you go, man, I might lose $50, $100 a month on it. And I go, okay. In 15 years, do you want to pay for college? Because I'm gonna hand you a check for $231,000 on this property. Now, how many of you here make a car payment of $500 or more a month? Because this is a car payment. But at the end of 5 or 6 or 7 years, what's that car worth? What's this house worth? See what I'm saying? And this is not a great scenario. Now I'm gonna leave all this to understand I've left a lot of money off the table, right? So just humor me, just so I can show you like where you got to be careful. Okay. I'm gonna go and take out the vacancy rate. All right, just to show you the actual money that's coming in. So I'm gonna leave vacancy at 0. I'm gonna take out the capital maintenance reserves at 0. Okay, now I'm still leaving the management fee because I'm not doing that ever. Okay, but let's say you actually have $5,000 or $10,000 saved up that you can just park in an account where you don't need to worry about having this money, right? Some of you might have, because as long as you got $4,000 or $5,000 you can park beside a property, your tax return or whatever, then you don't need to hold this back now. It's or you already have it. I just don't want you coming out of pocket, right? I don't want you scared when you have a mortgage payment due, right? I want somebody else's money sitting there. Now I just took out just that little bit, and look how much better this is. I went down $200 a month. My cap rate, which is basically if I didn't get a loan, I'd still been making 4% of my money. Okay, and now all of a sudden I went from losing $21,000 in 15 years down to just 16. So this is actually what I'd be losing, cash flow wise. Okay, right. And then my loan balance will be down to 121. And who paid down that loan balance? Tenant, right? The tenant. Spread this out wider. So now watch this. This happened to me recently. What if I could take the exact same property and I could rent it out? Come on, let me in. Did I break it? Maybe I broke it. Let me in. All right. What if I could get $1,500 a month? Guess what happens? Nothing else changed. Wait a minute. Now I'm almost cash flowing. I'm almost cash flowing. Look what happens. Equity, $328,000. Now, this shows you your interest calculations, how much you're paying in interest. Now, who gets to deduct all the interest off their taxes? You do. Any maintenance repairs that come up, guess who deducts that off their taxes? You do. Now, here's the third tab, and this is what I like to call the magic tab, because this shows the whole story. That was just a snapshot. All right. What this shows is, it actually shows your rent appreciation. It shows the rent. Right now I got 0 vacancy rate. It shows you the net income, expenses appreciation, which means I adjusted up for expenses every year. So here's all the annualized expenses. Here's the net operating income before debt pay down. Here's actual debt pay down, year 1. Here's net cash flow after year 1. Here's the property value, start of the year, appreciation. I went up 10,000. Then this end of year value. If you sold it with an agent or somebody, it put in 7% for sales. Why 7%? Great question. It allowed 6% for agent commission, it allowed 1% for taxes, because you're going to pay something called an excise tax, taxes to the government, $1 for every $500. Plus, you have to create a deed for the buyer, so 7% generally will cover you. Okay, that's included. Total mortgage debt, equity, and if you go to sell it, right? There's your cash, total cash in. Cap rate is how much of a rate of return you get on your money if you paid cash. Right? If you actually paid cash for this place and throw the money into it, cap rate says this is the return on investment with somebody renting it if you didn't have a mortgage. Right? If you didn't have a mortgage. It's a quick down and dirty way to know. Okay? If you put all cash. The ROI, the annual ROI is still 17%, meaning the ROI on your, because of appreciation, debt pay down, you're still getting 17% ROI on the place. Now, the cash on cash return is minus 1%. But your total equity after cost of sale, if you sold it, would still be 11%. Now, I know I'm speaking Chinese to you guys right now, okay? But if you look at these annualized reports after 4 or 5 years, you'll see how your annualized return starts to jump and jump and jump. And it goes backwards because you've already got all your money back out of the property. Funny thing happens when you get all your money back out of the property, you get an infinite return on cash because you don't have any more money in it. It's a funny thing about that. But if you go look at this place after just 5 years, rents went up, annualized expenses went up, right now operating income, how much debt you pay down, accumulated debt paying down after 5 years is already $8,000 of the mortgage paid down. Property value has already gone to $292,000 from $250,000. This is just after 5 years. Are you guys kind of seeing what I'm talking about here? So what I'm asking you to do, if you want to become investors, the first step is before you call real estate agents and say, I want to buy a rental house. Okay. Have you analyzed properties? And there are only 3 things on here that I care about you thinking about. Number 1 is called cash on cash return. For however much cash you put into a property, in this case, $61,000, how much cash on cash, how much return do you want on your $60,000 or $10,000 or $50,000 or $20,000? That's what we want to know. Do you care about appreciation or do you care about cash on cash return? Because you're going to have to make a choice. Because here's what I already know that I'm going to share with you. Houses in the worst neighborhoods, in the worst condition, have the best cash on cash return. Because those houses can be anywhere from $80,000 to $150,000, and they're going to rent for the same price as something that's not in a bad area that's going to cost you $200,000, $250,000. So they're going to have great cash on cash return, but they're not going to appreciate but 1 or 2% a year. And 1 or 2% appreciation on $100,000, right, is $2,000. 4% appreciation on $200,000 is $8,000, right? So you're going to have to start making decisions on if you care about cash on cash return, meaning how much cash am I getting back every month that I can use to either pay down the debt or use somewhere else, or am I playing the long game where I just want appreciation and I don't need that cash right now? And I just said a lot with that statement, okay? But trust me, you're going to have to get to that point because you don't get both. If you want great cash on cash returns, you're probably not going to initially, you're not going to get the return on, you're not going to get the appreciation of the property. If you want really, really amazing appreciation, you're probably going to have to come out of pocket a little bit. Okay? Yes.
Do you personally?
Great question. I want a minimum of 10% cash on cash return and a 20% ROI, which means that my annual appreciation is going up 5 to 6% a year. So I get what's called a 20% ROI. Okay. I want all my money back out of a property, all of it, every dime, in less than 5 years. I prefer 3. Now this is a beginner investment class. So I'll just tell you that I have actually gotten all my money out of 4 properties in less than 6 months. It's called the BRRRR technique, which we do not have time to go over tonight. BRRR. It's called the BRRRR method. You buy a property. B, buy. R, renovate. So B, buy. R, renovate. Next one is R, rent it out. So B, buy it. R, renovate it. Next R, rent it out. You have to hold the property for 6 months and 1 day. And then you do the last R and you refinance it. So Tina has to go off the purchase value or whatever you paid for it value the first 6 months that you own it. But magically, I don't know why, and I don't need to know why, but banks, once it hits 6 months in one day, they will then go off the appraised value, what it is worth, the aftermarket rehab value is, right? Tim, do you know why they make me wait 6 months?
I'm thinking the appraisal's not good after that period of time.
I mean, like, I can't do it. The first 6 months are going to be like, you paid this for it. I don't care what you put in it. I'll give you a loan based on what you bought it for. 6 months in one day, ARV. So round math, watch this. Buy a house for $100,000. Put $40,000 in it. I did this in Liberty. I did this. This is just one of the examples. Paid 100. Put 40 in it. All right, now I put 40 in it. Fixed up, it was worth 200. 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Liberty. Bought it for 100. Now, whether you finance that or not, whether you finance the 40 or not, again, doesn't matter. There's lots of options on those kind of loans and programs. But just I had 140 in it. I rented it out for $1,600 a month. I went to the bank 6 months and one day later. Excuse me, I would like to get an 80% loan, or really a 72 or 73 or 74. I want to get a loan, right? And I want to make sure that the rent or the mortgage payment, tax and insurance is below $1,600 a month. Why? Because that's what my tenant is paying. I was able to get a loan at that time for $155,000, and my mortgage payment was $1,410 a month. Now, how much is the tenant paying? $1,600. But after I take out management fees and blah, 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 it got down to right around $1,400 a month. But I got this loan. Now, I had 140 in it. I think the loan was actually 156,000, right? So 6 months and one day, I got my $140,000 back plus $16,000. Plus $16,000. So I got $16,000 back. I've got a loan of $156,000 on a property that's worth, that I could sell all day at 200 without breaking a sweat at 200. Tenants paying $16 a month, so they're paying that mortgage. I have all my money out. That's an infinite return on my money. So that $16,000, guess what happened to it? It went into an account, and now that's my reserves for like 5 properties, okay? Because they're not all going to need roofs and HVACs and everything at the same time, okay? And then I could be a little bit less conservative on how much money I held back. Does that make sense? I've done it 4 times. Of my 13 properties, I've done that 4 times. So when I say I need to get my money back in 5 years, that's like the extreme, right? But I'm not buying just for appreciation. I want cash flow. Cash flow is king. As a new investor, cash flow is the most important thing, unless you get inheritance or whatever. If you've got 10 or 15 grand that you can sit on the side, absolutely you can go for appreciation, but you need that. But the body blow to new investors is they don't have the cash to keep a property up, and they have to use their own money, and that's when they get out, because that hurts too much. I want to know when the tenant moves out. I'm not freaking out about getting somebody in there. I can take my time, get it fixed up right, and get the right tenant in place. And I can only do that if I've got enough money sitting in reserves. And if I don't have any money sitting in reserves, I want to use the tenant's money to create reserves. Now, I will also tell you, my coach, former bowl coach, who owns 80 rentals, had me analyze 5 properties a week with the criteria of don't buy anything unless you get a 10% cash on cash return and a 20% return on investment total. And I told him it did not exist in my market. I said, hey, Jake, that doesn't exist. He said, keep analyzing properties. Since 2020, I've bought all 13 of my properties. Since 2020, we've had the highest appreciation of properties since the pandemic. And I've still found deals like this in this market, and some of them I bought off the MLS. My point is, luck by definition is when opportunity meets preparedness. And if you aren't analyzing properties yourself, you're going to miss deals. But if you just keep analyzing, and even they don't make sense, you keep looking, eventually one's gonna go, oh my God, this makes sense. And I'll help you. You got to email me. You got to email KJ. We're not mind readers. You want to know what the loan is? Tina will give it to you. That's what she's here to do, guys. She's here to help you guys increase your balance. She's here to help you, right? With refinances, with financing. That's what we're here to do. But you've got to analyze the properties, or you got to be able to look at other people in other markets and say, here's my criteria. Here's how much I have down. Here's what I'm looking for. And you just got to go and play with this sheet. It's free. It's free. But if you ask me to do this for you on every property, no offense, when I find it, I'm keeping it. Okay? I mean, seriously, like, I want a good deal. Me too. Me too. Right? But also, if you're a real estate agent in here and you talk to investors, I just gave you the tools to ask so they don't waste your time. Like, what kind of ROI do you want? What kind of cash flow? What kind of cap rate? If they can't answer those basic questions, they want to invest and they have like some money and they don't know what to do. I love you. We're not here. Like, because if you analyze that for them, you should be buying it. And if you find a deal and you're like, I don't know where to find the money, I mean it sincerely, call me. Call KJ, text us. We'll help you find the money. Everybody thinks they need the money first. That's not true. You need the investment first. If it's a good deal, you can find the money, and I will prove it to you every single day. You find a good deal, I will help you find the money. I can give you proof of that right now. Because if I gave every one of you in this room $100,000 right now, could you tell me a good investment to put it in right now to get you a 10% cash on cash return or 20% ROI? The answer is what? No, right? See, even if I give you the money, you wouldn't be ready. Find a deal, find a property, find something that wants to sell off market or that needs work, right? They can't get a mortgage on it, whatever. Bring it to me. It'll still be your deal. Just do some basic analysis on it. I'll help you, or I'll partner with you on it. I'm not here to like take over your deals, but you got to start looking, because I found 13 in a market with no inventory where everybody was throwing money at investment properties. That deal I mentioned in Liberty, that guy was jumping up and down to get me to buy his place. Jumping up and down. And I told him point blank, I'm a licensed realtor. Here's what's worth fixed up. When can you buy this from me? I want out. He even had he'd forgotten he'd had the roof replaced, right? In between when we put in a contract and closing. And he gave me the check back, the extra from the roof. He wanted out. Never underestimates people's, like, why they would walk away from money. Okay, last example of that, and then I'm gonna leave the questions. So everybody here is like, nobody would leave that much money on the table. Everybody here does it every day. Everybody here chooses convenience over money every single day. Because I know every single one of you here goes and buys gas at a gas station, don't you? Even people with Teslas go to gas stations. Anybody here ever walk into a gas station and get a 20-ounce drink or a fountain drink or something? Okay. Would you believe that in that same store, on the same aisle, and now I've even seen it where they're actually refrigerating 2 liters of the same drink you're buying. You're paying $3 for a 20-ounce drink when the 2 liter, 10 times of the same drink is sitting in the same store, not even extra stock. And we'll pick the 20-ounce drink because it fits in our cup holder over the 2 liter. 10 times the amount of drinks. And now they even have them cold. You can't even use that as an excuse. I went to a Sheetz and I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to tell people. I was like, look at that. That's $2.10 and it's cold, but I'm going to walk over here and get this 20-ounce version because it fits in my cup. Tell me I'm wrong. But see, and everybody thinks, oh, but when it comes to larger amounts of money, people won't choose convenience. No, not true. Don't judge people's motivations. Just know what you're looking for and analyze properties. I've given you this. We're recording this. It's going to be on YouTube if you want to see it. All right. Let me go back to this other sheet. I'm going to give you the QR codes where these places are. And then I'm going to answer whatever questions you guys have. Because really, this is it. What y'all get out of this? Did you get some valuable information? Is this helping you? All right, here's QR codes. This is our Facebook group. This is the YouTube channel. This is KJ on Facebook. And then I've got to get you, if you guys all fill out that information sheet with your email address, we're going to send you all an email with the Keller Inc. website so that you guys can get the sheet. But if you go to the CPT Wealth channel or you go to the YouTube channel where this is going to be living, you'll see it. It's kellerinc.com. Go to the resources tab and the whole calculator and download that sheet and download it 4 or 5 times. Start analyzing properties. Yeah, like Wouldn't Make Give podcast is just how to help you build and protect wealth. The other thing is I want to make sure you get KJ's email address, her phone number, and then Tina's information. Tina's our lender. She's the one who provided all of this. And she understands the mortgage process, obviously better than we do. She will walk you through this. If you're even like, I don't think I can do this. If you send her a property, she can tell you what the payment would be, with the taxes, insurance. She'll do all that for you. She'll walk you through how much of the rent you can apply. So you know your credit score. You can know how much rental you can buy, what you can afford, and your current debt to income ratio. Use these resources. Here's the only thing I will promise you we're not going to do. We're not going to knock on your door or call you up and beg you to do this. But if you do it and you call us, we will help you. But I'm going to ask you, is this a good deal? Send me the sheet. Just send me the sheet. Fill it out the best you can. Right? Just give us something and we'll help you. Is that fair enough? All right. What questions do you have or what ahas have you gotten? Was there value tonight? Did y'all get something that think a little bit differently? Has this been helpful? You guys just all internal like, what? What's going on? Anybody have any other questions? Self-directed IRAs, meaning like pulling money out of a self-directed IRA. Well, I'm gonna leave that. Leave that one as a solo question on that self-directed IRA. Anybody else have any related to any of this stuff? Anybody? Yes, sir. Perfect. Throw a rock in this room. Find a realtor. I'm not being funny, and we will give you ARV. That's our job. And do not trust the Zestimate on Zillow. Now listen, it's only plus or minus 20% on accuracy. It's only a 40% swing on value. And I'm not trying to knock Zestimates. The owner of Zillow's house was off by $2 million. Okay? Zillow lost $1 billion. Luckily, they were a $2 billion company. They lost $1 billion buying properties based on their value to resell them. Lost $1 billion. Okay? So don't trust his estimate. Okay? But seriously, we have got a ton of great agents in this room. We will give you a realistic ARV. So great question. Ask. Just say, hey, because we'll also do 2 things. Not only will we give you ARV, we'll say like, fix it up this level. Granite or not granite, right? Right? Do I need to do LVP or carpet? Like it will change and we'll give you ARV based on what the fit and finish of the homes are like. So I'll send you, for example, I would send you a CMA and I'd be like, okay, see the fit and finish of these 3 houses? Fix it up like that, it's worth this. See the fit and finish of this house? Fix it up like that, it's worth this. Right? Because they could change. Because LVP and granite, right? And new, but clean, still the 1970s and 1980s tile or whatever, still rents. But the ARV is not going to be the same. So now we have that next game of, well, how much do I fix it up versus how much rent can I get? Then we're going to bring in the major company and say, if I make it look like this, what will the rent for? If I make it look like this, what will I rent for? And the rent difference is probably going to be $50 difference. Now we play that game on that sheet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, guys, just go slow to go fast, right? But then you'll start figuring that stuff out. Well, if I fix it up if I put 30 grand in it, it'll rent for this. If I put 50 grand in it, it'll rent for this. If I put 30 grand in it, the ARV is this. If I put 50 grand in, ARV is this. Like, do I take the popcorn ceilings out? Make it any different? No. Is the ARV going to be different? Yes. When's the time you take the popcorn ceilings out? When it's vacant. But that could wait 5 or 10 years. Right? I mean, that could be a thing that you do when you go to sell it. Welcome to the game. And I just let the passes and the math. I let the math tell me all that stuff. Now, if you just want it out because you're living, great. But I don't know. Right? Every area is going to be a little bit different. But I will not give you my opinion because my opinion, although interesting, is irrelevant. I will give you the data to tell you what properties are worth now in the future. The other thing that we'll do, and any realtor will do in here, is once you work with us, we're going to politely send you a notification every month of what's sold in that neighborhood, in that area, so that you don't have to wonder. And if you work with Tina, believe me, when interest rates go down a point, you won't have to worry about her calling you. She'll be like, hey, interest rates down a point. It makes sense for you to refinance. You won't have to wonder. That's who you're working with. We're here to help you build and protect wealth over time. Right? So our job is to let you know when these things make sense. Because again, when a guy only makes money selling properties, it's always asking you, are you sure you want to sell that? Don't you want to keep that as a rental? Should we at least look at numbers? You might want to listen. Right? So a good realtor will give you accurate, like not pie in the sky numbers. It's like, hey, we go on 30 days. We will also tell you, by the way, not if, when that supply thing starts changing, and it will. I can't imagine, but it's going to happen. Give us notice. Because we'll be people like, man, if you're getting ready to retire or sell for a kid in college, believe me, we'll be the ones to tell you, like, man, it's going to be a year or two, might be time, or hang on 5 years. Because even when the market went down with between 2013, it came back. The only people that lost were the people that got out in that time. And as long as you can stay in that and not sell in the downtime, whenever that happens, you'll be okay. It's the same thing with the stock market. People the market dips, they get out. Like, don't do that. You don't need the money today. Just ignore it. It doesn't matter until you actually need the money. Right? People who don't get out of the stock market, when it crashes, it comes back. Right? But everybody just panics. Don't be that person. Right? And with real estate, we get a lot much longer window to know when stuff's going to go down or not. Like we will see like housing start. Right? Okay. Great question. Any other questions? All right. Give me some ahas. What'd you get out of this so I can understand what y'all heard and what y'all take away. Give me what'd you hear? Or appreciation. Yeah, you'll start doing these sheets and it's like, nope. Yep. How about you guys? What'd you get? Good. Great. Right? Oh yeah. It's going to be vacant at some point. Yeah, and again, if a tenant's not out, well, guys, we're here. Thank y'all for coming. So anything we do, please get Tina's information. Reach out to her if you have questions about mortgages. We can help you. We got a bunch of realtors in here. We do this stuff every month. July, we're doing short-term rentals. We're doing Airbnb analysis. That'll be July's meeting. We'll let everybody know about that. Thank you two for coming. I do that without the other one. It's an opportunity. So, I was gonna say that's like, when are y'all available? Yep. When are y'all available? Tomorrow. What time do you get off work? You get up Thursday? Look, it is that. Oh, okay. All right. So what time's your customer? Okay. How about? where's your customer located compared to this property? Okay.
But I don't care, anytime between.
Okay, right. But I've got a,
Yeah, that's.
I've got a 3 to 4:30. And so I'm like, ooh, I can meet you at 4:30, but that's not gonna give me enough time here tomorrow. Thursday, we're out in town. Okay, so tomorrow. Okay, I got other options. I can meet it. I mean, would 2:30 work?
Yeah, I'll make it work. I have 2 trainees with me, but I'll make it work.
Okay, I mean, we're just gonna take a half an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're gonna just zip in and zip out.
If it's only gonna be half an hour, I can do it.
Oh,
I can bump them back down.
okay. I want to do 4:30 then,
Okay, perfect.
because that's better for you, right? I'm gonna book it right now. While I'm talking to you guys to make sure. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be a problem, but I will book it, and we'll just go ahead and go. I'll book it for 4:30 tomorrow. We'll go look at the. Talk about it. Yep, done. See you then.
So quick question.
Yeah.
Is there an Airbnb sheet like this sheet?
No.
Okay. Because I do Airbnb.
Okay.
And so I've got 2 right now.
Mhm.
And I know they do well. Like, I'm very pleased with them. But at the same time, I'm like, ooh, is there an actual sheet? Because other people are like, I want to do what you do. And I'm like,
So AirDNA, you're familiar with that, right?
Yep.
AirDNA. Okay. So Airbnb charges that company called AirDNA, and you do it on there. But the thing I would tell you about the short-term rentals is go download Price Labs. Price
I know Price
Labs.
yeah.
I've had 3 people do short-term rentals. Love it. It really helps your vacancy rate and helps price things appropriately so you'll win over the competition. Your place win it all the time.
Right.
Like it does it for you. It has an algorithm that's just crushes. Like when
So wait a minute, but it's local now, because the last time I looked into Price Labs, we did not have it for the Winston-Salem area.
Oh, well, we just met with the guy 6 months ago. No, we haven't. Absolutely.
Okay, okay.
Because I've got
I
3
mean,
people.
this is
I've got
like-
3 people on.
This is like.
No, we definitely have it because we have 3 people who, from our last meeting, like in November, jumped on it. They're like, oh my God, like their revenue went through the roof. Because it knew like, when furniture market was,
Exactly.
it knew all that.
Yeah.
Somehow it knew all that. So it was like cranking up the rents and then bringing like graduations. I don't know how, but like, High Point Uni. You're right.
Well, and that's why I looked into it, because I saw it like on a Facebook page,
Mhm.
and I was like, okay, this is really cool, but it wasn't in our area. And I just never looked back into it.
It is.
Okay.
I know people have used
So
it.
that's, okay, well, I'll
Yep.
definitely look into that then.
Yep. Oh, definitely.
Okay. Yeah,
Definitely.
because I mean, I've got like, I just have 1 long-term rental, and then I have 2 Airbnb.
Okay.
And then my basement's ready to actually be a third Airbnb.
Yeah.
But I really like traveling nurses.
Yeah.
Vacation.
Oh yeah.
So, you got like 3 to 6 months to a year.
Yeah. Those are
sometimes.
those are a little bit different than Airbnb, but they're
Yeah, well,
those
but
are
that's
great.
where I get my tenants.
Mhm.
Either Airbnb or I get them on
There's a-
furnished finders. Those are the 2
Yep.
big ones.
Yep.
But I've got so many. This is why I kind of do this, because
Mhm.
that way I can say, you do it, and you go find what the rental rates
That's-
are, because like right now, I sit there and I search Zillow, and I'm like, okay, well, this is what other properties are going for in the area, and it's more work on me.
Oh, it is. And then,
So
but
it's
again,
like you
and-
hand the work back to them and say,
and
this is where you can find those answers.
that's right.
Not me.
And politely, it's like, but if I find that, I'm just gonna, like that's
Right,
politely like.
right.
We do. We have people, when I find a cash investment or something like that, I send it out. Everybody, I know, if we're not interested, but yeah, that's exactly it. That's it.
Okay,
Good.
awesome, thank you. Look forward to July.
Yeah, be good.
Good question. So my rent, well, your rent, with rent, do you increase it every on the anniversary?
I do.
that you move in?
I do.
So if you miss that, you just wait till the next year.
Yep. And the reason I do it every year, a little bit, because nobody wants a giant. So if you wait a year or 2, now they'll tell you, because I'll make it $10, $20, nothing. What seems like nothing. But if I wait 3 or 4 years and my taxes gone up and all that stuff on, and I have to go up $50, $100,
Yeah.
they're like, whoa, right? So we just do it generally $5 or $10 a year, right? Or $25 a year, and just say, due to annual increases. So it's never enough to be a giant pain in the butt. Right? And now, I've also done it where I've had great tenants, where I've done nothing for a year, every other year, and I'll make it $20. I don't wait 3 or 4 or 5 years, and I don't let them sit there paying the same amount forever.
Yeah, okay.
No,
Okay.
right?
I wanted to increase mine on the anniversary. We got one. And my husband's like, no, they've been good tenants.
Yeah, go up $10, $20.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait till next year though.
Yeah, but I mean, but $10 is only, it seems like it's only $120 a year, but that's $120. Like, that's the kind of stuff that makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, also now take the $10, just pay down the mortgage. All of a sudden, it matters.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to say thank you. And I had two other questions. It's in the little nitty gritty.
Okay.
That's kind of where I'm coming from on all this.
Okay.
Are there certain things you do to your rentals no matter what? So like you, I absolutely heard about the garbage disposal. Fall over joist on me, and that was fun. Then, but like I always heard, like don't put carpets and rentals, just do OVP.
Not true.
Yeah. Okay.
Because like veterans, carpet sheet. Carpet sheet.
Yeah.
Cheaper than LVP.
I just heard that LVP was more durable, so you didn't have to replace it as frequently.
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Maybe.
I mean, maybe, but carpet can be clean.
Sure.
Right? And LVP does still get chips and cracks. And sometimes you got to pull pieces out, stuff like that. So if you get LVP, just make sure you keep enough boxes of it, because guess what?
But the process discontinued. Had it discontinued between when my client picked it and we were going to purchase it. So,
Right? Right? So that's why with carpet, I don't have as much chance. I can put it in quite the same, who cares?
Sure.
Right? So there's like, okay, but are you gonna have enough LVP? So LVP, which we do at times for rentals, we will try to pick a product or a brand that just that's a staple of theirs that we keep for years. And we try to put it in all of our rentals so that I've got like 10 boxes, 20 boxes. I've got enough left to do a bunch. But that's cost and storage. So no reason why I like carpet in some areas of the house. But I got no problem with LVP everywhere.
Sure. Okay.
Right?
I wanted to get away because I would say I'm a beginner to meet the investor. I've flipped probably about 7 houses, and some of them successfully.
Who's the agent you've been working with to help?